This is Chris K with the second step in our core complete testing process, testing range of motion. Once we've looked at a client's posture and standing and supine positions, we want to look at their muscles to confirm which situation they might be dealing with here. Just a few simple spot tests that we can do here, one being a prone heel to butt. All right, with this, what I'm going to ask the client to do, flex their toes up towards them and just flex the heel to the butt. All right, what I'm looking for here, if they're doing this actively, is the hip kind of raising up and coming down? Is there motion of the pelvis as they're doing that? If so, that's going to indicate that they're probably in this lordotic situation. They've got lordosis, their abs are weak, and they're going to require strengthening. By the same token, I want to look at how stiff the muscle is. All right, once I just ask them to flex a couple times, what I will actually do is put my hands, on their ankle and try to push their heel to their butt. All right, I'm really looking here for the feeling of how stiff the movement is itself, and whether or not they can get their hip to their butt. All right, chances are, if either of those are the case, it feels really stiff. It's not a very smooth movement, or I really can't get the heel to the butt at all. That tells us that that muscle in particular is going to require strengthening. All of that is contained in the corrections for lordosis, but that's if the hip doesn't possess full flexion and extension, then we're not really going to be able to get much out of crunches, for example. All right, our next test, and actually our final test in this, is what is called the prone hip rotation. All right, and that's the same thing. All right, I'm going to test internal external rotation of the hip, and what I want to do here in prone is just try to bring my my up leg here towards my down leg and see whether it can touch or not. All right, I'm going to bring it into external rotation by moving this way. I'm going to bring it into internal rotation by moving this way. All right, ideally, for somebody that is, has fairly good range of motion, the up leg is going to be almost able to touch the other leg. We're getting about 45 degrees of external rotation, about 35 degrees of internal rotation. And again, once you kind of watch the client do this, look for movement of the pelvis, as well as confirming that with movement where you actually passively move them into external rotation, followed by internal rotation. All right, look for kind of the way that it feels, the movement, whether it's kind of springy, or you're very, or it's stiff, or if we can move through the full range of motion. All right, if not, if it feels like there's a restriction or it just feels stiff, that's going to tell us that we want to plug in the corrections for our hip rotation. All right, so those are just some simple things that you can do, to test those two things. But it's crucial that the hip possesses full range of motion to get the most out of our exercises. So definitely incorporate the warm up and the cool down, the hip mobility and stretching, and that is your range of motion testing.